What would happen if a cat and a dog opened up a detective agency? Well, let's just say it wouldn't be boring. It takes two very different personalities to run any business, even one as tame as a detective agency. For example, you need someone who can think on their paws and someone with a nose for sniffing out clues. And what better species to represent those traits than a cat and a dog? In our story today, we meet Sherlock Bones, a German Shepherd, and his partner, Detective Miodana, a Persian cat. These two work together in their detective agency, solving mysteries no human detective could solve. Their first case is rather simple: a missing rubber duck. Mrs. Peabody's prized possession has vanished from her garden. The only thing that can make this mystery a tad more difficult is that she is also deathly allergic to cats. Can our dynamic duo solve the case without aggravating her allergies? Will they find the missing duck? Let's get started. The client sits nervously in her chair, constantly dabbing her eyes with a tissue. She sniffles as she explains how her prize-winning duck, Ducky, has gone missing. She tells them about how she had placed Ducky outside earlier in the morning, but when she came back inside, Ducky was gone. Suddenly, the door bursts open and a small terrier runs through, barking excitedly. The dog drops a squeaky toy at Mrs. Peabody's feet, then looks at the cat and the German Shepherd with pleading eyes. Then he runs off again. "Looks like we have a lead," says Sherlock Bones. "Come along, Detective Miodana." Before she leaves, Miodana looks back at Mrs. Peabody and tells her not to worry. She'll find the duck. Sherlock follows his feline partner outside. They have a long day of detective work ahead of them. The two detectives split up, each going their separate ways. Miodana tiptoes slowly through the tall grass, her keen eyes scanning the area for any sign of the missing duck. Sherlock, on the other hand, takes a much more direct approach, sniffing every bush and lamppost in sight. As he sniffs, he thinks to himself, "There's definitely a dog around here somewhere. A small one, too. I can smell his wet dog scent all over these bushes." Meanwhile, Miodana comes across an empty bird bath. She takes a closer look and notices a few stray feathers. Realizing they might belong to Ducky, she carefully collects them and tucks them into her collar for safekeeping. She then remembers seeing a family of ducks earlier in the day and decides to pay them a surprise visit. Sherlock, after sniffing almost everything in the park, is beginning to lose hope of finding the missing duck. Just when he's about to give up, he hears a familiar sound. It's the squeak of a toy. He follows the noise to its source, a small treehouse hidden high above the ground. As he gets closer, he recognizes the small terrier from earlier. He looks up and sees the squeak toy dangling from the treehouse window. It's clear that this little dog has something to do with the missing duck. Just then, the window opens and the terrier sticks his head out. He barks furiously at the dog below. But before he can do anything, Sherlock barks back, startling him. The dog quickly retreats back inside the treehouse, hiding the squeaky toy under his makeshift bed. Sherlock, realizing he can't get inside to look for the duck, decides to wait until the coast is clear. He finds a nearby bush and settles down, hoping the dog won't hide the duck for too long. Miodana approaches the family of ducks and introduces herself. The ducks seem nice enough, but they tell her they haven't seen a rubber duck anywhere. She doesn't believe them, so she digs in the mud near their pond. Sure enough, she finds a small piece of cloth that looks suspiciously like Ducky's hat. The ducks look shocked when they see the hat. Miodana, feeling confident that she's on the right track, thanks the ducks for their help and heads home. At the agency, she lays out the evidence for Sherlock. She tells him about the hat and the feathers she found. Together, they realize the only place left to search for Ducky is the treehouse. Sherlock, still angry at the small dog for biting him earlier, wants to bust in immediately, but Madonna tells him to wait. She has a plan. As soon as the sun goes down, Sherlock slips out of the house. He sneaks as close as he can to the treehouse and lets out a loud bark. The small dog inside barks back, but quickly falls silent. When he does, Sherlock runs to the treehouse and starts barking furiously. After a minute or two of heavy panting, the dog gives up. Sherlock manages to sneak inside. Inside the treehouse, Sherlock finds the squeaky toy and quickly figures out where the dog has been hiding the duck. He nudges Ducky out from under the bed with his nose. Ducky quacks loudly, making Sherlock jump. He found the missing duck, and all they had to do now was take him back to Mrs. Peabody. As Sherlock leaves the treehouse with the duck in his mouth, he can hear Madonna talking to the small dog. "So, do you know where the duck went?" The dog looks down at his paws. "I took him, but my owner told me to give him back." "Who told you to do that?" "My owner did. He said if I gave the duck back, I could have a treat." "That's very good to know. Thank you." With that, the dog wags his tail and happily bounds away. Miodana walks up to Sherlock. who's patiently waiting with Ducky. She smiles and tells him, "We solved another mystery." The two partners walk side by side towards home, excited to see what new cases come their way. The next day, Sherlock and Miodana are sitting in their office when a new client enters. He explains how his prize-winning rose bushes have been trampled overnight. Can our dynamic duo solve this case? Or will the culprit get away scot-free? It's lunchtime at the agency. Sherlock and Madonna are relaxing on the floor, enjoying their tuna and chicken dinner. Suddenly, a knock on the door makes them jump. Who could it be at this time? They open the door to find a young Persian kitten standing on their doorstep. "Are you Detective Miodana? I'm here to be your apprentice." "Ooh, I don't think we're looking for an apprentice right now," she says, trying to be discouraging. But the kitten is persistent. "Please, I really want to learn how to be a detective." Miodana looks at the hopeful kitten and then at Sherlock. She shrugs and tells the kitten to come in. After lunch, Miodana shows the kitten around the office, explaining how everything works. She then gives him a quick history lesson on being a cat detective, pointing out the pros and cons of having 9 lives. At the end of the tour, she hands the kitten a magnifying glass and a notebook and asks him to observe Sherlock at work. Sherlock is currently interviewing a small bird who claims to have witnessed a crime. While Sherlock talks to the bird, the kitten takes notes in his little book. When the interview is over, Madonna calls the kitten over and asks what he thinks happened. The kitten, after looking at all the evidence, tells the two detectives that he thinks the culprit is a large dog with muddy paws. "How did you figure that out?" asks Sherlock. "Well, I noticed the footprints in the dirt are much larger than mine. And since this is a dog detective agency, I figured it had to be a dog." "Very good, apprentice," says Sherlock, giving the kitten a quick scratch behind the ears. "You're doing great so far." As the day goes on, the kitten proves to be a quick learner. He helps Sherlock and Madonna collect evidence and question witnesses. By the end of the day, they have enough evidence to arrest the culprit, a large mastiff. The kitten is thrilled with their success and knows he wants to be a detective for the rest of his life. And that, dear viewer, is the end of our story. We hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we did making it. If you liked this video, please don't forget to give us a possum like. Also, subscribe to our channel so you never miss any of our exciting news stories. Until next time, happy sniffing.